Hi, I'm Holden and I work with wood, or at least trying to. I'm 26 and I live in Columbus, Ohio, and barely know anything about wood. But with this channel, I'm hoping to change that. My experience with woodworking is pretty minimal, but I have done a few things. My first project was actually building a basic workbench with some Craftsman sawhorses and just a piece of plywood and some 2x4s. I actually messed up this build initially just because I quickly rushed through it and I glued it together slightly improperly, so right now, whenever I try to set it up, I have to force it into position, but it has given me something to work off of. With that workbench, I actually moved on to my first official build, which was just some basic shelving for a bookshelf that I had. I like to read manga, and it's typically shorter than your average book, so I didn't want to waste space, so I added a few more shelves at the bottom. It was very basic, just some yellow pine. I glued everything in together, and it works as intended. I used a circular saw that was given to me as a gift, and with some glue and a screwdriver, I pretty much finished those builds. I didn't have a lot of space to work with, so I wasn't really able to get much done up until recently when I actually moved into a house with my girlfriend and my best friend. For the past few years, I've been getting into climbing, and because of that, I wanted a place to store all my climbing gear, so I decided to build just a basic pegboard. It was actually not something I'd recommend because screwing all those holes was a chore, and I would honestly just recommend buying your own pegboard at that point. After the pegboard, my girlfriend actually enlisted me in one of the many projects that I will probably end up doing, which was a shower rack. This one was a really basic build too, just made out of yellow pine, and it works as intended. Now, all of those projects were pretty small, but they all culminated into my most recent project, which was this dining table. I found the blueprints online for a farmhouse-style dining table, but this actually ended up being pretty challenging for me. It ended up taking over a month to first get all the red oak, which was in short supply at the time, and then to actually put this thing together. I didn't really have the equipment necessary for this. All I had was a circular saw, so actually halfway through I ended up having to rent a miter saw from Menards to get everything cut out and built, but in the end, I'm actually really happy with this one, and it was somewhat of a proof of concept for me that I could actually take woodworking seriously. Now, why am I here on YouTube trying to start a channel about this? Well, first is motivation. I myself am a huge procrastinator. I always wait till the last moment to get things done, and I don't want it to be that way with woodworking. I want more of a reason to get up and actually make those projects, and I feel like making videos about them will help give me a bit more motivation to do that. The second reason that I'm making this channel is education. So I never had a woodworking class in my high school, and everything that I know is self-taught. I initially read a book, The Complete Book of Woodworking, which I would highly recommend, and I also watched YouTube. So channels like 731 Woodworks, Michael Alm, Stumpy Nubs, I've referenced them and other YouTubers constantly as I made my previous projects. And since I've learned so much from YouTube, I figured I could also give back and help teach other people things that I didn't know either. The final reason that I'm making this channel is community. So I can watch all the YouTube videos in the world, but the best way to learn is by getting advice from other woodworkers. At the moment, I've been talking to my grandpa and my girlfriend's dad, who are woodworkers themselves, and over the months of watching YouTube videos and reading books, I've learned more from them. By starting this channel, I'm hoping to meet other woodworkers and share advice and help elevate our craft. Though it is going to be a bit of practice to learn how to actually do YouTube. So with creating this YouTube channel, what are my goals? First would be to develop a sustained economy. Wood is expensive, and this dining table alone cost me over $1,000 to complete, and I don't just have $1,000 lying around. My first goal would be to actually sell some of my projects so that I can at least come out even, make the woodworking pay for itself. Which brings me into my next goal, starting a side business. Now, everyone and their mother seems to be starting a side business right now. In fact, my mom actually does have a side business right now. But it's always smart to have multiple sources of income. And while this is first and foremost a passion that I want to work on, If I can make a little extra money on the side, great. But my final goal is the most important to me, and that's realizing my potential. So as I said earlier, I can be fairly lazy, and if there's one thing as a person that I hate, it's stagnation. Just watching TV shows, playing video games, those are all great and fun, but if that's all I'm doing, I'm just at the same place that I was a year ago. I want to use this woodworking hobby as a way to better myself and actually realize my full potential. Woodworking feels like a hobby that can not only turn into a passion, but could actually better myself as a human. Take a look at this dining table. There's multiple things that went wrong. To start with, the angle of the leg supports isn't even on any of them. I didn't take a good enough measurement on the angles to create a smooth connection for the glue up. The levelers at the bottom, I should have recessed the hole there so they wouldn't be so noticeable. The sanding of the tabletop too was done poorly. I didn't actually have the correct sander for it, and I pressed too hard into the grain so you can actually see the circle motions of the sander itself. And I had to press hard on the wood to sand it because I didn't actually glue the panels together flatly. So a lot of things here compounded to more problems that I had to go through. Now, all of these can be looked at objectively as failures, and in some ways they are. But in having these failures, I can actually learn from them and make myself better at the craft. And that is the goal that I'm working towards. But that's me. I barely know how to put a dining table together. I'm working out of a dingy old basement, but I'm pretty excited for what the new year is going to bring. So I'll see you in my future videos where I work with wood. Now I just gotta learn how to edit a video.